Good night, ladies and gentlemen. These are showers of blessing. Do not. Yeah. Do not let that offset you. I want to say to you tonight that we should be conscious of the season that we are in. Let me begin by wishing all of you a Merry Christmas. And as best as is possible with this government, I know it will be hard, but I want you to try to have a happy and prosperous New Year. I want, ladies and gentlemen, to speak to you tonight as one Barbadian to another. I do not have the privilege of holding any other passport for any other part of the world. I was born right here. Like most of you, this is where my navel string is buried. I do not, like most of you, own any property anywhere else in the world. Like most of you, I do not hold any bank accounts elsewhere in the world. And therefore, like most of you, this little rock of 166 square miles is where I call home. And it is where you call home, with no alternatives. And in a real sense, therefore, we are in this together. When something stands for the negative of Barbados, it works to the negative of Kerrie Symmonds. And it works to the negative of most of you. And likewise, if something is good for Barbados, then, my friends, it is good for you too. Not true? Well, you really got you sleepy. Not true? But that's better. And I feel that that is a philosophy that has caused me to live in public life by the guiding directive that what I do in public life, a decision made in public life, a position taken in Parliament, when I was in cabinet, you're thinking first and foremost about what is good for Barbados. Not what is good for me, the individual, or for a part of the country, but what is the overall best interest of this place where I born. And I feel, ladies and gentlemen, that the first thing I must say to you tonight is that I treasure the fact, let me say it again, I treasure the fact that there is a philosophy of that nature shared by Mia Amor Motley as leader of the Barbados Labour Party, shared by William Duguid and every other member of this party who is a candidate serving the interests of the people of Barbados, that we are putting Barbados first. And I feel that I can treasure that fact because what this is about is not spitting in the soup after you get your own, or hawking in the bowl of porridge after you dip out what you want. This is about doing what you can for the betterment of the country as a whole. And I want to say tonight, because there are certain dishonest people in newsrooms controlled by the Democratic Labour Party in this country who will not say it to you, so I have to say it from this platform, that Mia Motley deserves the world of credit for the statesman-like way in which she discharged her responsibilities with respect to this disgrace that took place at Worthing Beach. Raw sewage leaking into the environment. And last October, Mayor Motley made it clear at a political branch meeting of the Barbados Labour Party in Adrian Forrest's constituency. He's right there. Is that not true, Adrian? That this was an issue that Frandl Short needed to pay attention to. She didn't go overboard and excoriate the government or try to embarrass and drag down the administration because she had a little information. She urged the government and urged the Prime Minister, take stock of a situation that I am alerting you to, Prime Minister. Check behind your ministers, particularly John Boyce, who would spend every day at a golf course if he could, and make sure that what they are supposed to be doing, Dennis Lowe and John Boyce in particular, they are doing. When Mayor Motley took that position at a branch meeting, and that's why I said to you, I want the people in the newsrooms to understand that we are Barbadians first and foremost. Not all have that problem, but there are some who feel that you subordinate your conscience for a mess of pottage. You can give me a little lunch or a trip to Tobago at carnival time, right? And I will shut and turn a blind eye and write about something else in the paper when the time comes. But there is a Barbados that must be there when we go along. And it was here when we came along. And we have a duty as Barbadians to leave it better than we found it, man. What are you telling me, people? And when Mayor Motley alerted Francis Short, he did what Francis Short does best. Sweet nothing. And then, instead of making sure that you pay a little attention to a dysfunctional sewage treatment plant, instead of making sure that you pay attention to getting the resources that you need to solve a problem that has been running on for a while, good God, Francis Short does nothing. And we have the end result being Barbados disgraced internationally. Now I want to say something to you because I just pulled up my phone and I heard William tonight talk about TripAdvisor. And I want you to understand TripAdvisor is a global tourism rating website. If you are going somewhere in the world that you never went before and you want to get an impression of the hotel rooms or the place that you're going to stay, you go on TripAdvisor and you see what the people went before you had to say about the place. Barbados' and this is what you're going to understand, Barbados' tourism budget through the government side is about $100 million every year. Every year. But beyond that $100 million, these little hotels around here, Coral Mist, Bougainvillea up the road, Accra, Yellowbird round the corner there, Savannah, I ain't going to advertise anybody else's property. Many of them owned by Barbadians. And they put about $40 to $50 million in advertising collectively behind this country so as to alert people about the Barbados tourism product, invite people to participate in the Barbados tourism product, and to take a share. And ladies and gentlemen, when you have the leakage of raw sewage into the sea, that $140 to $50 million in advertising that I don't know, drop off in the body lime tree, that is blood, sweat, and tears. People's hard-earned money. And you can't find a way to undo the damage of the negative press that has happened on TripAdvisor. The squandering of over $140 million in advertising money. Because Francis Short chooses to do nothing. And I hold in my hand an extract from TripAdvisor, a fellow named Dave who comes from Thunder Bay, Canada. I want you to go home tonight and Google it. Go and read it, see it for yourself. And he says, reading about this situation definitely doesn't make coming to Barbados for New Year's very appealing. I will be traveling with a toddler, and the health risks seem to be mounting. I am wondering if another island isn't in our best interest. You understand the kind of damage that is being done? You understand what the neglect of Francis Short does in dollars and cents terms for the people who are working in these hotels, for the people who have invested in these properties? You understand it? A lady called Lynn from Canada. Some of those hotels might as well shut down. I can't see how it could be appetizing to sit and eat and drink by that mess. That is what people are saying about a hotel product, a tourism product that we worked hard for years to build up. Now, you could do a number of things. You could decide that Fernando Stewart did nothing because Fernando Stewart is incompetent. You could decide that Fernando Stewart did nothing because he is politically impotent and he can't risk offending Dennis Law or John Boyce because it will shift the balance of power in the cabinet. You will end up with David Eswick as Prime Minister. It would not be Donville because the only body who supports Donville is Donville. Or you could decide that Fernando Stewart did nothing because Fernando Stewart is indifferent. I really don't care where you fall on deciding because I know in my heart that all three are true. He is impotent, indifferent, and incompetent. But the fact of the matter is this, that Barbados suffered untold damage by virtue of its reputation when we allowed raw feces to leak into the ocean off this coast. And as if that was not bad enough, you would have thought then that sensible men holding responsibility for the cabinet of this country, lending direction to this country, would stand up and say, well, look, the problem here has to be treated scientifically and seriously. The World Health Organization or PAHO or whoever would have set out what are the levels of bacteria in the water to make it safe or unsafe. You would expect a minister to stand up and say, on the day in question when the signs were put down, it was unsafe because XYZ was the level of bacteria. However, with the effluxion and passage of time, it has changed, and now XYZ is the new level of bacteria. That is what I believe government should be about in Barbados. And that's why I want to talk to you tonight about the government, the governance of this country. What are you prepared to accept in the land of your birth? Because I never thought that I would be asked to accept that a long, red, lawless individual would plunge himself into the ocean. I mean, I know him long from Harrison College days, and we knew that he was full of pup. But I didn't think I would see him bathe in it. I didn't think I would live to hear that he ran down there and bathe in it. And for what purpose, comrades and friends? For what? I mean, this defies common sense. Do you believe that Richard Seeley believes that by running and plunging himself into the feces and raw excrement down there, that people in Great Britain would have noticed that a man who calls himself a minister went and decided to bathe in Jobby? And then, because he bathed in Jobby, they're going to pick up their wife who they love, their children who they adore, spend £10,000 to come to Barbados so they could jump in Jobby too. Now let us get real. And at this level, y'all are making sport at this, but it's a serious thing. What is the Barbados that you are prepared to live in? Because that is what is now exported across the world as leadership in the land of your birth. That is what is now replacing Tom Adams and Eric Barr and Bree St. John and Owen Arthur and all the rest who held the office of leadership. That boy acts as a prime minister. You know that? He acts as a prime minister. And I want to say to you that what upsets me even more, even if it don't upset you, is that if a young man from over there in Bath Village, if a young man born to humble origins in Bath Village Not Sir Austin Seeley's aristocratic child. In fact, he didn't behave like a child, he behaved like a piglet. But not Sir Austin Seeley's little aristocrat. If a young boy from over there in Harmony Hall or down the road in Bino Road, Worthing, born to humble circumstance, was to go on that beach and drag up the sign and pull up the red flags, signifying that the beach is dangerous, there would be indulged sitting down tonight. What is the Barbados that you are accepting? What are the standards that you are accepting, people? The National Conservation Commission is created by an act of Parliament. The National Conservation Commission has as its mandate in law the protection of the beaches of Barbados and the public safety. In exercise of its duty in law, the National Conservation Commission planted signs to warn people about the situation on that beach. And a wild boy drag up the people's sign, pull up the caution flags, and people have to accept that in Barbados he can go untouched. But if others had done it, they would be being punished all right now. And what is worse is that you accept this, and you have not yet raised your voice in indignation about the fact that he is answerable to a prime minister who must be equally lawless as well. Because the prime minister should have fired him immediately as he see that a man ran down, a member of his cabinet, ran down on the beach and pull up the people's sign that warns about the public health and safety of the beach. But the prime minister can't tell Seeley come back. Well, it's not the first time. Dennis Kelman took off all of his clothes that I could see in order to do an interview on Facebook about the quality of water in Barbados. He can stand up like I'm talking to you now and say this is the problem with water, as I say. He had to pull off all the clothes that you can see. And this is what we accept as the new standard. No, I'm serious, because this is the Barbados that you all have to decide whether you're prepared to live in. I say to you, that larger than that beach is also the issue of maintenance. Because if that plant was being maintained, it could not have come to this sorry pass. And if that plant was not being maintained, then ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you, have you paused to think about what else is not being maintained in Barbados and is likely to fall apart in a similar unseemly fashion, causing similar difficulties? That is why I say to you that the press in this country must not be complicit in foolishness. The press has a duty to ask questions, serious questions about where we are going. And I want also to say that you yourself must now start to ask serious questions about what you've been taking for granted. You have ministers about this place, public officials about this place, people walking the corridors of government about this place, who are living ostentatious lifestyles that nobody can explain. Lifestyles in the midst of the worst recession this country has seen. They are growing wealthier and demonstrating more and more accumulated wealth. And nobody asks any questions about it. A man who Ralph Thorne and I know well, that had interest in an entertainment house in Bridgetown. Not an entertainment house. And he can pay the rent. In fact, the court judgment against him suggests that it's $90,000 he had to pay a landlord. Couldn't pay. He ends up on the public purse. You are paying him now. And all of a sudden, he's in the realm of the luxury car for $300,000. Huh? All of a sudden, the lowdown on another fella, the lowdown on another fella is that he too was running from landlords for many years. Now he is part of the BMW class. You have a standard of governance that means nothing to people with common sense. That a minister, and you accepted this, a minister wrote a letter to people in the government department that he has responsibility for. Do not attend any meetings held by Christopher Sinclair. I am not giving you permission to go to any meetings with the Minister of Finance. Now, good Christ, if you are working in government and you are sent to a meeting with another department of government and you don't go, who suffers? The people of Barbados suffer. But a minister was allowed to write that, and he still is a minister today. And you have accepted this. Nobody ain't gone in the office and sit down in the car park and sit down and block it until when the Prime Minister revokes the appointment. Nobody in demand that the Nation and the Advocate and every other paper in Barbados stand up for what is right until the Prime Minister revoked the appointment. You accepted this because you have accepted that we are not in this together, but this belongs to the Democratic Labour Party. And I will not go there with you. It does not belong to the Democratic Labour Party. We are all in this together. Our neighbour's string is what bury here, man. And you have at Cahill for what Mayor called pop kite men. Sign in without going to cabinet. Sign in an agreement to use a form of technology that has never been tried before on a coral island anywhere in this world. The certain outcome being that you and I and everybody else in our families could face a death by cancer. They signed it. Prime Minister pretended to know nothing about it and then was exposed to be in the know. And you have accepted this. This is your Barbados too. You have to stand up to correct this. This is an insult to your intelligence. And in the Bahamas, a man who was a minister did the same thing for the same kind of waste-to-energy plant. Do you know that? But the Prime Minister in the Bahamas fired him. The four men who did what they had to do in Barbados are still drawing your money today. Because you have not woken up to the reality that your voice matters in this country and that you have control. Of course they won't put it out. And that time will surely come. And I say to you as a Shadow Minister of Commerce in this country this evening, that I have watched 2 notices appear in public papers saying that Arawak cement plant has taken the cement produced in Barbados to Illinois and the United States to have it tested. Theirs and the cement produced by competitors, sold in Barbados, imported from Turkey and from Portugal. And that the results, according to them, is that their product is vastly stronger. And that the bags that the other people are using suggest that they have been weathered and exposed to the elements for a long time. And that the process of hydration, this is what the paper tell me. I am no engineer. Talk about a process of hydration taking place which may make the product less than desirable for certain types of construction activity. This was published. This came out as a public notice, not once but twice. And I have heard nothing from the Ministry of Commerce. Meanwhile, Barbadians around this place are exposed to buying the same product that a question mark has been placed over. Meanwhile, government departments have entered into contracts because there is a very close relationship between some people in the construction industry and government. I ain't gonna tell you, you know. Mark my words, you know, if you think about it. And government departments are using the same product. And nobody has said to this country whether or not this is a matter of concern and risk. But in other parts of the world, you and I know that that couldn't just happen so. And what boiled my blood is then when 2 days after the notice appeared on a Sunday, the Tuesday morning, I hear the Minister of Public Works. Oh, well, I got a lot of cement in Barbados now. And the prices should therefore come down. So I think we'll be using concrete roads. We'll be building concrete roads. Asphalt is no good. Now, how come all of a sudden first of all, I want the proof that the concrete road is cheaper than the asphalt road. You agree? But I also want to know how come all of a sudden asphalt road is no good, so government is going to be using concrete. But I said to Michael Lashley from this place tonight, and I've said it to him in person, so I can tell you now. It ain't a secret. I'm not keeping a secret. The gloves have come off, my friends. This country's taxpayers must not be asked to soak up the pain and the financial agony for people who had thousands and thousands of bags of cement under a shed roof somewhere in St. Michael with weather and elements blowing in on it. And all of a sudden now, the people of this country are to be exposed to paying the price for that. When it important on the here, when it had a profit under the shed roof. So if anybody is to feel the fallout from under that shed roof, it can't be you. And as long as I am in public life in Barbados, it will not be you. Let me get that straight. And that is why I treasure the fact that this Barbados Labour Party has in people with conscience, the Cynthia Fords of the Barbados Labour Party, the Trevor Prescotts, the George Payne, God bless him, people who've been wrong long and will frown on foolishness. That kind of nonsense could not have been uttered by a Barbados Labour Party cabinet minister. Could not have happened. But it is about consolidation of wealth. And here in Christchurch South, you understand consolidation of wealth very well. You felt the pain. It is down here that a man that comes from God knows where arrived in Barbados and was given a tax holiday for 40 years. You pay your taxes every year. He used to get 40 years. And the same hotels like Coral Mist and Yellow Bird, Time Out in the Gap, and Bougainvillea, and all the rest of them, they have people leaving Edie Village and leaving Silver Sands, educated young people leaving Sargent Village and making their way down to this coast to put this country's tourism product on their back, whether they are chefs, whether they're working in the rooms cleaning, whether they are food and beverage management. These people are the bulk, the brunt of our tourism product. And they are discriminated against because one man is supposed to come to Barbados and enjoy all the sweets and the fat, and other hoteliers struggling to maintain the staff component. It is not fair. And all the wealth consolidates in one corner. This is how the Democratic Labour Party sees an economy functioning. They engorge their pockets and use that salt. And it has to come to an end. And if the press in this country was prepared to stop allowing some of their members to prostitute themselves at an altar of Democratic Labour Party political expediency, they would be the ones to tell you, not I, that in the Turks and Caicos Islands, there is a criminal corruption case involving tens of millions of United States dollars passed to political operatives so that the same beneficiary of the sweets in Barbados would be in a position to enjoy sweets in the Turks and Caicos as well. And I ask you, have you paused to wonder if a man is capable of spending that kind of money to get what he wants in one island in the Caribbean, you feel he would do it in another island? To get a sweetheart deal in another island? You feel that he would, I ask you, if you understand that if there is a corrupt person in the corridors of power in Barbados, your silence, your implied acquiescence is the reason for that person to be able to walk the corridors of power in this country. Your voice needs to be heard. It is not only about Mayor Motley. It is not only about Kerrie Symmonds. It is not only about Dale Marshall, William Dugate, and Adrian Ford, and Wilfred Abrams, and whoever else. We are in this together. This is your Barbados and mine. And accommodating them does not help you, because when you go to the bank, if I understand it correctly, and Clyde will correct me, your interest is now 0.25 of a percentage point. When they go to the bank, even before they get to interest, they are seeing far more than what a custom seeing before. But life is good. But my friends, I say this to you. The chairman has just given me 3 minutes to wrap up. And I know that a lot of people get cut, and it's only fair that I give away as soon as possible. But let me say to you, wrong may forever live on a throne. The truth may be placed on a scaffold. You know, a scaffold is a place where you hang a man. Truth could be on a scaffold. Wrong could be living on the throne. But in the dim and dark unknown, there stands a God who keeps watch above his own. A day will dawn in this country when the hope that springs eternal in your breast will be responded to. An opportunity will present itself for you and your friends and your family to express your voice in overwhelming numbers and demonstrate that this which you've been asked to endure is not what you signed on for. When that day comes, make sure you are there. This country needs you. It is not about me. It is about you and me and all of we. Good night. God bless.